My name is Jonquil Vann, and I'm the head track and field coach here at Roosevelt High School and the school psychologist. Coaching is my avenue to reach more kids because in my job as a school psychologist, I only see a small portion of students. And when I get out on the track and field, I have like 150 other student athletes that I never would have had access to. So I have three main goals I go into each season with. The first one is that every single student athlete felt seen and heard every single day. So I do make a strong point of making sure I go and talk to each of them and meet them and know their names within the first couple weeks. And as the team gets bigger, that's a challenge, but it's important because everybody wants to be seen and heard. The second one is that they build some level of self-confidence, whether it's like just a tiny bit or a huge amount in the season. I think that we really focus on like athletes need to tough it out, but I really encourage our student athletes to talk to me about what their anxieties are, their fears are, so that we can work through them together. And then the third one I think just kind of comes naturally with the first two goals being met is that they have fun. There's such a focus on being the elite high school athlete, and a lot of fun has been lost with these like rigid trainings that kids are being required to do. So I just want to make sure that they're out there having fun, meeting new people, and enjoying themselves.
My name is Sarai Seekamp. I am the head track and field coach at Jefferson High School. I am also a high school English and social studies teacher and the program director for Active Children Portland. I started track and field in middle school and then continued on and was a four-year varsity athlete at Walla Walla High School before going on to compete as a 400 runner and 400 hurdler at University of Portland. My experience as an athlete, and specifically as a track and field athlete, has taught me to continue to persevere, leadership skills, what it means to build community and work with other people, and really just give back to the people around me. She Flies has been awesome. I've been able to interact with She Flies in Sport Oregon now in a couple different ways. It's been meaningful for me as a head coach, and as a former female athlete, just going to the Sport Oregon Holiday Bash was reinvigorating, and it was exciting to hear from other women in the field talk about their experience and the things they're doing, and was a huge inspiration. And then being able to connect with other people who have the same values and same missions and are going about that in different ways and just receive support and also ideas has been really fun, and I'm excited to continue to be a part of their project.
My name is Brenden Butler. I am the pole vault coach here at Roosevelt High School. And in my day job, I work at Umpqua Bank as the Community Impact Officer for Oregon. I was at the She Flies event, the Holiday Bash, as an invite from the Portland Thorns, and a buddy of mine was there who works at Alaska Airlines, and she introduced me to Sarai. Got chatting with Sarai, and come to find out she's the head coach at Jefferson High School track and field. And I said to her, I'd always loved to coach. And she said, well, there's a pole vaulting coach position opening up at Roosevelt. And she said, do you know anything about pole vault? And I said, that's my sport. That's the thing I love the most. And so within 2 days' time, after that holiday bash party, she put me in contact with Coach Jonquil, and yeah, the rest is history. It was basically a week's time between meeting Sarai and getting excited about it and her feeling her inspiration around being a coach and then saying yes to it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So I would say the pillar that resonates the most with me through the She Flies initiative is keeping girls in the game. I think that's one thing that, especially as a coach now, that I see as so incredibly important. Yes, I'm coaching these girls on how to pole vault, how to do this complex sport, but more than anything, I want them to love it. I want them to see that it benefits their body, their mind, and their soul by learning these different movements and by practicing and getting stronger, that is a sort of a fuel for a great deal of confidence and success down the road.
So we know that girls drop out of sports starting at 14. So me as a head coach, one thing I've really focused on is connecting with our youth. So I held a body confidence group at one of our local middle schools this year, as well as held one here at the school with some of our female athletes. And then just making sure that all of our coaches, male or female, are tied in and understanding what the needs are of our female athletes, not just as athletes, but also like in terms of what their world and life is like right now. I think it's really important to destigmatize mental health, especially with adolescents, because there's a huge rise in the country in terms of kids that are on medication for anxiety and depression and whatever else is going on. And if we don't talk about it, then oftentimes kids will just kind of shove it down and pretend like it's not existing and struggle more. So my job as a school psychologist and a coach kind of encompasses all of that in terms of what are we doing to support student athletes with their own mental health, and what are we doing with the school and the community to support mental health.
The biggest piece of advice I'd give kids and parents and coaches to empower girls in sports is not only to listen to them and create spaces and opportunities for them to share their experience, but to also follow through on acting on what they're hearing. I think oftentimes we listen to kids, but we don't actually then follow up with meaningful change, and I think that's the biggest thing we can do for our female athletes.
Having coached, 14 female pole vaulters this past season, I think the biggest thing is just to know that they're athletes, to know that they have an incredible amount to give, and to empower them to trust themselves and to trust where they're coming from and how they want to compete, how they want to do the sport, and how they want to show up, and believe in them more than anything.
So the advantages that I feel like I bring to the table as a female head coach is just allowing female student athletes to see somebody taking on a role that's predominantly done by male head coaches. I also think that it's really important for male student athletes to see a female in a leading role in that same area.
As a female head coach, not only do my female athletes get to see themselves in a leadership role in me as a head coach and as a teacher, especially in the sprint and hurdle world. I think for a long time I was the only female sprint and hurdle coach in the district, even before I was a head coach. But my male athletes, I'm, for most of them, the first female coach that they've had. So they get a completely different worldview and perspective from me as a head coach, and a different environment that I see them having in basketball and football and some of our other male-dominated sports.
I think that the best thing to do for me as a white male identified person is to just truly get out of the way and let women lead who are in those positions to lead, and trust that. And I do, and I feel like the times that I've done that, and I've just kept my mouth shut, even though I might have something to contribute, I feel like I grow and everyone else grows for sure. What I've learned from Jonquil over this past season as an assistant coach is that it takes such an amazing amount of coordination, organization, all the Asians. I mean, she has them all, and it just blew my mind. I was coaching one sport, and she was overseeing all the sports, and 182 kids that came out and competed and were part of this team, and she created an inclusive environment. Everyone was welcome on this track and on this field to do amazing things, and that's through those Asians, through her calm persistence and really thoughtful approach to coaching is really what I'll take away from the season and from her for sure.
Recruiting female coaches and female coaches of color has been important to me because I never really had female coaches, let alone a female head coach, especially in sprinting, in track and field. And I work at a historically black high school with a team that is, for up until this year, was mostly black female students. And so it was really important to me that our kids and our girls, who a lot of them have never done an organized sport before, saw themselves in our coaching staff.
Yeah, a winning team in my eyes it's fun to win. Winning the PIL championships was fun, but it's really like if we have students that have built self-confidence and they're proud of who they are, where they're from, and they have kind of moved forward in some way in terms of their self-experience and who they are, that's the winning team to me. For next season, I'm super excited about our girls squad. We've gotten stronger and stronger, and we have a whole bunch of talent that is very young, and so I'm excited to see what they can do in the next 2 years in terms of what we can do, not just at the district level, but at the state level as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to see our program continuing to grow and hiring more staff and seeing more female athletes out, and just excited overall at what the School of Champions is going to do next.